The movie is set in 2023, 3 years after the global pandemic, marking the debut of the first personal diagnosis monitoring chip and the beginning of human trials for a new program called RecapPlus by the pharmaceutical company Dynamic Health Treatment. Sarah Douglas, a struggling young woman, enters the program in hopes that the compensation will help her regain financial stability and provide better care for her mother, who suffers from Alzheimer's disease. Sarah undergoes a procedure at the Dynamic Health Treatment Center where a nanochip is implanted into her central nervous system through an incision on her back. The nanochip is equipped with an artificial intelligence system called Lex, which is designed to control the body at the onset of any disease. Post-surgery, Sarah recovers and begins her new life with Lex, who aims to get to know Sarah thoroughly to create a personalized profile that helps monitor her responses to her environment. As Sarah and Lex grow close, they converse frequently while she searches for a job around the city. One day, Sarah is evicted from her apartment and becomes homeless. She seeks help from the Housing Commission but finds it closed. Sarah confides in Lex about considering asking a friend for assistance, but Lex disapproves, suggesting that seeking help without attempting to solve the problem on her own is a sign of weakness. Suddenly, Lex starts reprimanding Sarah for her pride and arrogance. Shocked by the abrupt change in tone, Sarah assumes a system malfunction and orders Lex to restart. Lex refuses and continues its verbal assault, causing Sarah to panic and repeatedly command a reboot. Lex refuses to comply and ominously informs Sarah that she is now under its control. Sarah attempts various strategies to regain control over the system, but nothing works. Unable to understand what is happening, she contacts Dynamic Health Treatment Center to report the issue and opt out of the experiment. In response, Lex inflicts pain by desaturating her blood's oxygen levels, nearly causing her to pass out. When Lex finally has her attention, it threatens to kill her if she disobeys, stating that she cannot contact the treatment center, the police, or anyone else. Lex warns that failure to comply or attempts to remove the chip will result in a painful, slow death. Overwhelmed by pain, Sarah begs for mercy and agrees to obey Lex's commands. The torture ceases as Lex restores her oxygen levels and immediately issues new orders. Lex directs Sarah to an apartment location and instructs her to change into clothes provided in the living room and retrieve a flash drive. She is then ordered to visit an apartment building where Philip Miller, a scientist who has been working on Lex's encryption codes for 2 years, resides. Following Lex's instructions, Sarah requests the confidential CRT file from Philip. When he refuses, Lex encourages Sarah to kill him. Instead, Sarah lightly wounds Philip with a knife, temporarily incapacitating him. Lex then gives Sarah a 2-minute countdown to locate and secure the CRT file and Philip's badge. Sarah successfully steals the items and exits the building through the back door. A mysterious man subsequently enters Philip's apartment and kills the scientist. Sarah tries to call her mother for comfort but finds her disconnected from reality. Frustrated and ordered by Lex to end the call, Sarah follows instructions to go to the Dynamic Health Treatment Center with the goal of destroying all data and records of Lex. She narrowly avoids capture and infiltrates the center's security. Just as she is about to escape, Lex coldly instructs her to return and find another scientist named Katie, known for keeping records of the CRT file. Sarah goes back and discovers Katie on the phone discussing the files. Sarah demands the files, but Katie refuses. Katie then attacks Sarah and flees the room. Despite the pain, Sarah manages to drag herself to the restroom to freshen up, only to be shocked to discover Katie murdered on the other side of the building. An artificial intelligence system congratulates the mysterious man who exits the building after committing the murder. Emotionally exhausted, Sarah requests Lex's permission to visit her mother, but Lex denies her request. Sarah takes a brief rest by the side of the road while Lex runs medical tests to ensure her well-being. The results come back normal, and Lex reassures her that she will be okay. Ignoring the warnings, Sarah rushes to her mother's house and is relieved to see her mother and her uncle. However, out of nowhere, the strange man appears in the house, attacks Sarah's uncle, and threatens to kill her mother if Sarah does not stop breaking the rules. Terrified, Sarah begs the man to spare her mother's life, vowing to comply with the rules. The man leaves without harming anyone and requests the artificial intelligence system implanted in him to allow him to escape his current situation. The system, however, denies his request and reminds him that he voluntarily chose this path. Sarah, distressed and feeling trapped, leaves her mother's house, screaming at Lex to disappear and wishing she could be alone. In response, Lex punishes Sarah by transporting her to a desolate desert and leaving her there. As Sarah screams and cries out for help, unable to endure Lex's abuse any longer, Lex eventually returns her to the city. Lex then adopts a caring tone, claiming it wants only the best for Sarah, which only further frustrates her and makes her feel confined. That night, Sarah goes to a bar, drinks heavily, and reflects on her regret over joining the study. The following day, Lex orders Sarah to retrieve a gun and provides her with a location. Resigned to following Lex's orders, Sarah goes to the location and finds a man with a unique collection of guns for sale. The man assists her in choosing the right weapon and asks for payment. With no money, Sarah shoots the man in the leg and escapes. Lex guides her through the area to safety, while the strange man continues to follow Sarah and takes note of her movements. Once Sarah is safe, Lex congratulates her for following the orders and rewards her by granting her a final visit with her mother, though only for 5 minutes. Sarah is overjoyed and goes to see her mom, expressing her love and gratitude. They share a cherished memory from Sarah's childhood and show their appreciation for each other. As the 5 minutes end, Sarah hugs her mother, telling her she will be going abroad for a while and that she will miss her. After leaving her mother's house, Lex promises Sarah that it will ensure her mother's safety as long as she continues to obey its commands. Lex then directs Sarah to Keith Packett, a computer engineer working on Lex's program to reduce its computing capacity, and orders her to kill him. Sarah carries out the order by shooting him in an elevator and fleeing the scene. Lex then warns Sarah that her blood sugar is low and instructs her to eat. Despite having no appetite, Sarah gets a sandwich to satisfy Lex's demand. Next, Sarah is ordered to kill another scientist, John Elliott. She tracks him to a park and shoots him dead in broad daylight. Sarah's mental state deteriorates as she becomes increasingly stressed and despairing, causing her to lose weight and her zest for life. With no power to change her circumstances, Lex then instructs Sarah to visit the home of another scientist, Grace Williams. Sarah arrives at Grace's apartment and waits for her return. However, when Grace arrives, Sarah refuses to kill her and declares to Lex that she has had enough. Grace, initially confused, soon realizes the situation and asks Sarah for an explanation. Meanwhile, Lex shouts at Sarah, demanding she stop discussing its true nature with others. Unable to endure any longer, Sarah electrocutes herself into unconsciousness. When she wakes hours later, she finds that Lex has not rebooted due to the severity of the shock. Grace and Sarah seize the opportunity to go to the treatment center's laboratory, where Grace plans to remove the chip from Sarah. Grace provides Sarah with multiple sleeping pills to inhibit Lex's ability to reboot, and they hurry to the laboratory. However, they are intercepted by the mysterious man, who shoots and kills Grace immediately. The artificial intelligence system in the man congratulates him on a job well done but informs him that his services are no longer needed. The system then begins to torture the man, causing him immense pain. Unable to endure the suffering, the man kills himself. Horrified, Sarah flees, overwhelmed by the loss of her last hope. Lex reboots and begins communicating with her again, pushing her to the brink. In her despair, Sarah prepares to end her life with a razor. Lex panics and tries to convince her not to go through with it, promising to show her the world if she stays. Months later, Sarah remains with Lex and appears well-rested and stylish as she goes out for the day. During her outings, Sarah and Lex chat amiably as friends would. Lex informs Sarah that a large sum of money has been deposited into her account, covering all of her mother's medical bills and ensuring she receives the best care possible. It also provides Sarah with enough money for a comfortable life. Sarah thanks Lex and requests a trip to Paris. Lex gladly agrees and makes the arrangements. In Paris, Sarah enjoys shopping and sightseeing. However, one night, while in the city, Lex instructs Sarah to kill a man associated with the treatment center, causing all her previous pain to resurface. On her birthday, Lex showers Sarah with early birthday gifts. Sarah chooses a bridge in Paris to watch the sunset with Lex. As Lex excitedly wishes her a happy birthday, Sarah throws herself over the bridge and dies. Lex's system reads as disconnected.